The onslaught of water caused by the low pressure and the extremely high winds just sweeping into the town of Haiyan on the island of Samar.
2 responders remove a body from a massive field of debris. Relief officials are worried the decaying bodies will create health risks for survivors.
The Philippines, has and continues to contribute not only to the discussion of what is happening, but also to raise the alarm.
Yolanda in 2013 was a game changer. Yolanda in 2013 was a game changer in the sense that it has affected 14 provinces, 171 cities and municipalities across 6 regions. In terms of sheer scope, magnitude, and impact, it was by far the strongest typhoon that made landfall all over the world. The United Nations declared for the first time a level 3 category of a natural disaster.
When Yolanda happened, it was such a powerful event that then suddenly you start looking at everything else that was happening in terms of the impacts of climate change, and that the country would have to sort of invest a lot in terms of resources that they didn't have.
To contextualize, this was, I think, 3 or 4 years after the passage of the Climate Change Act in 2009, and 3 years from the passage of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Law. And you know that it's in the early stages of coordination, putting in place and creating that National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. And we saw how the challenges in terms of coordination struck the Philippines, struck the government, private sector, as well as non-government partners, both locally, internationally, and regionally. What are some of the ways that we can support government to be able to make sure that when next major disaster happens, there will be funding. They would know what to do. And what are some of the basic steps that they have to take, things that they have learned from previous disasters.
Sir Oscar wanted a forum on what could have been done better or what can we do better in preparation for events like this. So OML contacted several experts to deliver their assessments and their recommendations.
OML Center was the convener, providing a platform to gather some of these experts to be able to discuss and share ideas. And considering that the forum was done just, I think, 2 months after the disaster struck is laudable. Because how do you get the different government officials and the different high-level officials from private sector, civil society organization, and academia to come together and exchange candidly some of the ideas to be able to start some initiatives.
The role of OML back then was extremely important because basically to focus on the evidence of how climate change had an influence on Yolanda and looking at it from different angles was extremely important.
You continue to engage on going to the ground and actually measuring things and coming up with scientific publications from there. So yung mga publications na yun were one of the first to come out of the Super Typhoon Yolanda. One, we did the assessment immediately. That's the best because that's when we were able to actually say the impact of SP Yolanda to the coastal environment. And 2, we gave inputs to the plans of going forward.
To some extent, it helped in the sense that people started to understand what are the gaps, what is needed, what government can provide, and what can be provided by the other stakeholders or non-government who participated in that forum?
To seek advice from a number of other academics in the Philippines and to look at it from different perspectives, from spatial planning, community, and that was extremely important and inspiring.
After Yolanda and all the papers came out of that, all the studies, mas naging cooperative sa isa't isa yung mga agencies na yon, and na-appreciate na why we're returning it back to mangroves. Hindi na sila nasasayangan.
What I've seen in the Philippines, and that was always extremely amazing, is also the resilience, not only in terms of what you can do, but what else you need to do.
How do we make sure that institutional memory, as well as the experiences and learnings, could be passed on systematically to people who will still be in government? How do you get the communities and the stakeholders who were affected to buy into the rehabilitation and recovery efforts? So what are some of the community-driven development programs that could be put forward so that the communities can help in the rebuilding and the recovery process, at the same time to also look at the community resilience?
To the OML Center, you have been very instrumental in the advancement of local studies, giving a voice to the local situation of the Philippines. And yet you have not been saying it's a doomsday thing, that it's the end of things. You have been also offering possible solutions, possible collaborations to solve these problems. And I think that's a very unique position, and I hope that you continue to do the same.
The work that we've done, that OML basically invested and supported, it's extremely important to basically to give back to the community. What has happened in the Philippines and the dimension, the impact, the issues are relevant not only to the country, but also to the other countries in the region and the world.